Hey everyone, how are you doing today? Welcome to my brand new series, Countdown to Japan. If you're new here, my name is Jen. I'm a teacher in Texas. I say for all the things. It's my favorite thing to travel. And today we're going to talk about our trip that we just recently booked. So, what we're going to do, I'm going to go over the categories, the dashboards I created, and how much I'm going to save for each category. Then, this whole series, I'm going to have series about my budget itinerary, how much things I've learned cost. We're going to go through everything, and then we'll do check-ins and savings and all the good things. So there will be a playlist called Countdown to Japan. So if this is your first time here, go check out the playlist if you're planning your own trip to Japan and you're trying to determine how much to save, what to save for, and maybe some ideas of what things cost. I'm doing the research, so maybe I can help you out. But anyways, guys, I created some dashboards. In one of my next videos, we're going to start kind of doing some different things, and then we're going to set the binder up soon. But first, let's go ahead and go into my dashboards. I do have the little trackers that we're going to keep track, because what I'm going to do in the randomizer video, you guys know I have some money that's getting to go into this binder, and we're going to cash stuff these envelopes eventually. The problem is I haven't decided if I want to like merge binders or if I'm going to buy a new binder. I have not decided yet, and that's why right now we're just going to go over the research. I do have a cheat sheet. So as always, I always try to save for our trips. My husband saves for our trips, so we don't go into debt. The goal is to travel and enjoy our lives without going into debt, so we always save beforehand, sometimes for quite some time. I just gonna break down how much I think I'll need, and we'll just go on from there. Okay, so Tokyo, as you guys know, has been a long time goal. It's just so exciting. We do have family connections there. My husband's grandfather was in the Battle of the Pacific in World War II. My mom lived in Okinawa, and I'm just gonna tell you that she was raised there, and just like always growing up hearing her talk about Okinawa, because her father was based at the military base there. You always hearing that growing up. It was just something I always heard about. So I'm really excited about the opportunity to go. Now, let's go ahead and break down the cost and what I think things are going to cost. This is based on just some research, and as we get closer, things may adjust and may change. We're going to start with the first category right here that comes on top is souvenirs. Just kind of looking, we do like to bring back gifts for everybody. I bring back a magnet and typically something for my house. My husband will buy a hat. We buy different things. Based on kind of my research, I'm anticipating this to be about $250. Now, this might adjust if we see something that we know we kind of want to buy. But I'm thinking we're going to spend about $250 on this category. And this, of course, is all in USD. Okay, so that one's done. Okinawa hotels. I was looking at the hotels for this time period. I have not booked them yet. I'm probably going to be booking the hotels soon. We just haven't finalized everything yet. It looks like it's going to be about $300, about $100 a night. They have all different types of hotels. They have the resorts. They have basic guest house. $300 is on the more expensive end. So I think that's the one I'm going to go with on this category. Okay. So we're going to set this aside until I set up my binder with you guys. Next up is Tokyo hotels. Okay, so I do know what hotel I want to stay in, and it's the Godzilla Hotel. Guys, I love Godzilla. I love Godzilla. I have a Godzilla t-shirt around here somewhere, but yes, I always like Godzilla. And I want to stay in that hotel. My husband's totally cool with it. But we are waiting to see what his friend that's about to go to Tokyo, what they say, if they give us any suggestions about a good area. I definitely think this hotel's in a great area. The reviews on YouTube seem to be really, really good. But we're just going to wait and see, because you never know. There might be something better out there. But as it is right now, I'm going to estimate this hotel, and it is $640. Now, we were going to use points, but this time, the thing about being a teacher is I have to go at peak times, but sometimes the places we go are not peak. What that simply means is flights are always outrageous for us. Flights are outrageous because we go at spring break and summer and holidays. But sometimes, a lot of times, because these other countries don't have spring break like that, it's not a peak time to go. So just something to think about. I will say, when I get to the flight cost, we did travel hack a bit, but we were going to use our IHG points for these, but I think we're going to hold on to those possibly for our Scotland trip. Okay, buffer's the next one. The buffer is just incidentals, tips, maybe if something comes up that I didn't allocate for. I always set about a 10% buffer on the trip. The trip I don't expect it to be. That's kind of where I put my buffer. All right, so the buffer is going to be $500. All right, so Tokyo Disney. I'm going to be honest, I was researching this and I was expecting it to be along the lines of Disney prices here in the United States, but it's really not. I was really kind of surprised about that. Looks like the tickets are $60. And then, of course, I added an additional $100 in there for food and fun. So my goal for this one is going to be $220. Sorry, guys. We are actually probably about to have a storm. Vecna is crying. Henry's being Henry. All right, so 220 is what I'm anticipating for this day. Okay, next up, Tokyo excursions. So I'm really not sure 100% what we need to do. I'm just kind of looking. We have a dinner cruise, the sumo dinner, the observation decks, Tokyo Harbor, just all sorts of things. So I'm thinking, I don't know if we're going to get to Mount Fuji. We're going to try, but I don't know, because we're going to have 3 days in Tokyo, 3 days in Okinawa, then we come back for a day before we fly out. And I'm going to anticipate this at 400, guys. 400 is what I'm going to anticipate this at. Now, let's see. Transportation. So this is pretty much going to be subways, taxis. I was looking, I think it's going to be about $250 when you take into the taxi ride, subway ride, all of that from the airport. I think it's about $250. No, this is a budget for two. So just something to consider. This is a budget for two. So it could be a lot cheaper. I think it might be, but I just never know, because, you know, you just never know. Those cab rides from the airport can always be quite pricey. I mean, for example, our cab ride in Munich was like 117 euros. It was crazy. Okay, food. So food is always one of the hardest categories, because especially with Japan, because they have the themed restaurants, they have the cafes, they have sushi, there's the vending machines. There's so much going into food that I know, especially since my husband is such a foodie, I'm a little more hesitant and not as adventurous. I'm going to be very honest. I am not an adventurous eater, but he is. So I always budget on the very high side for food, just because I think it's better. Now, if you're more like, I'm going to be honest, if it was just me, I probably would not budget this much, just simply because I would just be eating ramen and probably McDonald's because, guys, I'm just not a foodie person. I'm more about seeing the sights, whereas he's more about the food and experience. So we're going to go with $200 a day for 7 days, which is $1,400. Now, I don't know. I have been watching some videos, and there are some pricey meals and there are some not so pricey meals. So it's definitely all over the place with the food in Tokyo. You can eat bowls of ramen for like, or pieces of sushi for $1, or you can eat pieces of sushi for $250. It's definitely all over the place. As far as food costs go. So definitely when you're researching your trip, taking into consideration how you like to eat and how often you like to eat, and if you're adventurous, because I think the more adventurous you are with eating, the more money you're going to spend while eating. And I think that's one of the reasons why before I met my husband, when I used to travel by myself, I never spent money on food. Like I would eat beans and rice in Central America, you know? So I don't know. It's just one of those things. Okay, Okinawa flights, I was looking at the flights. They look like on the high end, they're $90 each. So I'm just gonna budget $180 for that. They're anywhere from $45 to $90. So I'm just gonna put $180 because I always say go with the higher number. It's better to be over budget than under budget. We'll probably book those eventually. Okinawa excursions. So this one is quite, I have not really looked into everything we want to do. I'm going to do that in a follow-up video, ideas and what my perfect dream itinerary will be for Tokyo and Okinawa. So I did do some just like quick internet research, and they said about $50 per person per day. So we're going to go with $300. That might have changed when I start researching and realizing I'm like, no, let's do this. And this is kind of expensive. So we will see, but that is kind of what the gist on the internet is. So we will see. We will see as I dive into it a little bit more. It could be more or less, but we're going to go ahead and go with what the internet says for now. Because, you know, the internet never lies, right? Okay. So last but not least, because this is something that always gets us, and I think it gets a lot of people, is airport days. This one's going to be $150, and the reason why is because it never fails. You get there early and you want to eat something, or you get something for the plane, and the airport is expensive, guys. It is definitely a markup. They know you cannot leave. They know that they gotcha because you've already gone through security, and yeah, I just like to have a cushion for that. So $150. So when you add up all my categories, the total comes to $4,640 for our week in Tokyo for two. Now, I do want to go ahead and put a couple disclaimers out there because I'm going to go ahead and tell you the price that we spent for our flights and all of that too. The most important thing to understand is that everybody travels differently. Everybody does things differently. There's thousands of travel videos in Tokyo, from basic $50 a day all the way to thousands of dollars a day. So you have to determine with your budget what you're comfortable, what you want to see, what are your must-dos, what can you pass if you don't have the opportunity, and come up with your budget. This is our personal idea. It could adjust. I will probably reevaluate it in probably at the end of summer to see if we're kind of have an idea of what we want to do. Sometimes, I mean, there are people that do that $50 per person per day, and so that would mean $700. Okinawa has extra flights, but I think Okinawa is going to be significantly cheaper than Tokyo. Tokyo is a very expensive city. So just based on my research, I think this is what we're going to do to be able to do everything that we would like to do. And this could change. So we will see if I'm accurate and how that's going to go. But our flights were $1,500 each, but we did travel hack. And as you guys know, with travel hacking, you always want to be very careful doing that. You never want to get yourself into debt, so you always want to make sure you are paying your cards off if you do travel hack. So sorry about that, guys. My uncle-in-law came by bringing me food, so I can't complain about that. But anyways, guys, as I was saying, travel hacking, just always make sure if you are going to do travel hacking, choose a card that's good for you, and just know that you need to make sure you always pay it off in full, and that you always have you just be really responsible, because that's a fast way to get into debt. Getting the points and miles is not worth it if you get into debt. So that being said, if you are somebody that's into travel hacking, we did use the Capital One Venture X card. So that's that, and we were able to pretty much get our one flight for free. So it worked out. So I think the total budget's going to come out to about, let's see, one flight was for about $6,000 total, if you include the flight. So that is the beginning budget. I know I'm always asked this with the budgeting community, like how much I spend, how much do I plan for this? And I'm going to try to do better about sharing that with you guys. As you guys know, I always try to show real numbers, real life, and that's what I'm going to do. So next week, we will talk about what I want to do, kind of my dream plan, how much I anticipate to spend for each thing, and go from there. But anyways, guys, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.